Los Angeles County, California. Venice Beach. Saturday afternoon, July 1971. The sun hangs high over the Pacific, casting sharp shadows across Muscle Beach, the legendary outdoor gym where bodybuilders, strongmen, and athletes have gathered for decades to train, compete, and prove themselves. The air smells of salt water, sweat, and coconut oil. Everywhere you look, there's muscle. Massive arms pumping iron, thick legs powering through squats, chests so developed they look like they belong on Greek statues. This is the epicenter of American strength culture, the birthplace of modern bodybuilding, the place where Arnold Schwarzenegger trained, where Dave Draper became famous, where men come to build bodies that defy natural human proportions. And on this particular Saturday, walking along the beach path with his wife Linda and their two small children, is Bruce Lee. He's wearing simple clothes, loose cotton pants, a fitted t-shirt, sandals, no sunglasses, no entourage, no indication that he's anyone special. Just a man enjoying a day at the beach with his family. Brandon is running ahead, chasing seagulls. Shannon is in Linda's arms, pointing at everything with that pure wonder only toddlers possess. Bruce is smiling, relaxed, completely at ease. This is his rare day off from filming Enter the Dragon. No choreography to design, no scenes to shoot, no studios demanding his attention. Just sunshine and family and the sound of waves breaking against the shore. They walk past Muscle Beach, and Bruce glances over at the training area. He's fascinated by different approaches to physical development, always studying, always learning. He watches a bodybuilder bench pressing what looks like 400 pounds. Watches a strongman doing one-arm overhead presses with a dumbbell the size of a car tire. And that's when he hears it. A voice. Loud, booming, filled with that particular kind of confidence that comes from never having been physically challenged. Now that's what a real man looks like. Bruce doesn't react. The comment wasn't directed at him. Just some guy holding court at Muscle Beach, showing off for the crowd that's gathered to watch the strongman demonstrations. But then the voice continues, louder now, and this time it's definitely aimed in Bruce's direction. Not like these little guys walking around thinking they're tough just because they know some karate. Bruce stops walking. Linda notices immediately. She touches his arm gently, a silent question. Bruce shakes his head slightly. It's fine. Don't worry. But he turns to look at the source of the voice. The man is enormous. Not bodybuilder enormous. Strongman enormous. There's a difference. Bodybuilders sculpt their physiques for aesthetics, for symmetry, for definition. Strongmen build their bodies for one purpose: raw, overwhelming power. This man embodies that philosophy completely. He stands maybe 6'3", and he weighs, as Bruce will learn shortly, exactly 315 pounds. Not fat, not soft, just massive. His arms are thicker than most people's legs. His chest is a wall of muscle. His neck is so thick it looks like his head sits directly on his shoulders without the benefit of an actual neck in between. He's wearing only gym shorts, his entire upper body exposed and glistening with sweat. And he's holding a barbell loaded with plates that collectively weigh over 500 pounds. He's in the middle of a deadlift demonstration, showing off for the 20 or 30 people gathered around the platform. His name is Kurt Wagner. He's not famous, not yet, but he's well known in strength circles. He holds state records in powerlifting. He's competed in strongman competitions throughout California. He can deadlift 750 pounds, squat 650, bench press 500. He's a legitimate monster of strength. And right now, he's staring directly at Bruce Lee with a smirk that communicates everything about his worldview. Bruce hasn't responded yet. He's just standing there, holding Brandon's hand, watching this massive man make a spectacle of himself. Linda leans in and whispers, "Bruce, let's just go." He's drunk, or showing off, or both. But before Bruce can respond, Kurt Wagner sets down the barbell with a crash that shakes the wooden platform and walks toward them. Each step is heavy, deliberate. The crowd parts for him automatically. When you weigh 315 pounds and can lift cars, people give you space. He stops about 10 feet from Bruce. Up close, the size difference is almost comical. Kurt's forearm is literally bigger than Bruce's entire torso. One of Kurt's thighs weighs more than Bruce's entire body. "You hear me, little man?" Kurt says, and his voice carries that edge of aggression barely disguised as humor. "I said real men have mass. Real strength comes from size. All that kung fu dancing you little guys do, that's just theater." The crowd has shifted now. They're no longer watching the deadlift demonstration. They're watching this confrontation, sensing drama, anticipating entertainment. Bruce looks at Kurt with an expression that reveals nothing. No anger, no fear, no insult taken. Just calm assessment. He's reading this man the way a scholar reads a text, looking for meaning beneath the surface, understanding the psychology driving the behavior. "You're very strong," Bruce says quietly. It's not a question, just an observation. Kurt laughs, a big booming sound. "Damn right I am. 315 pounds of pure power. I can deadlift twice my body weight. Can you do that?" "No," Bruce says simply. This answer seems to confuse Kurt slightly. He was expecting defensiveness, ego, pushback. Instead, he got agreement. It throws off his rhythm. "So you admit it," Kurt presses on, trying to regain momentum. "Size matters. Strength matters. A man your size, what are you, 140 pounds? 135, Bruce corrects. 135, Kurt announces to the crowd like it's a punchline. "See what I'm saying? 135 pounds of... what? Muscle? That ain't muscle. That's just lean. Real men have mass." This story, the one you're hearing right now, almost got buried under decades of stronger is better mythology. But the people who witnessed what happened next couldn't stay silent. If stories like this matter to you, if you want to know the truths about Bruce Lee that the strength world never wanted to admit, subscribe to this channel and drop a comment. Where in the world are you watching from? We're building a community of people who understand that real power isn't always measured in pounds. Bruce has remained completely calm through Kurt's performance. But now, he does something unexpected. He smiles. Not a mocking smile, not a challenging smile. An amused smile. Like he's heard this argument 1,000 times and finds it endlessly fascinating that people still believe it. "You want to test your theory?" Bruce asks. Kurt's eyes light up. This is exactly what he wanted. "Test it how?" "Physical demonstration, you and me, right here. You can use all your mass, all your strength. I'll use what I have. We'll see which philosophy holds up." The crowd murmurs. This is getting interesting. A few people recognize Bruce now. That's the guy from the Green Hornet. That's the martial arts instructor who trained Steve McQueen. But most people just see a very small man challenging a very large man, and they're already assuming how this ends. Kurt looks around at the crowd, playing to them. "I don't want to hurt you, little man. I'm a professional. I know my own strength." "I appreciate your concern," Bruce says, and there's no sarcasm in his voice. He's genuinely acknowledging Kurt's restraint. "But I need you to understand something. If we do this, you need to actually try. Don't pull your techniques. Don't hold back because you think you might hurt me. Use your full strength. Otherwise, the demonstration won't prove anything." "You're sure?" Kurt asks, and for the first time there's a hint of uncertainty in his voice. Something about Bruce's absolute calm is unsettling. 6 seconds, Bruce says. "Give me 6 seconds of your best, full power, no holding back. After 6 seconds, we'll know everything we need to know." Kurt laughs again, but this time it sounds slightly forced. 6 seconds? Man, I could put you through that platform in 6 seconds. "Then do it," Bruce says simply. Linda has taken the children back several steps. She knows that look on Bruce's face. She's seen it before. Bruce isn't angry, isn't emotional. He's gone into teaching mode. Someone needs to learn a lesson, and Bruce has decided to be the teacher. The crowd has grown significantly now, maybe 50 people. The other strongmen and bodybuilders have stopped their training to watch. Word is spreading along the beach. Something's about to happen at Muscle Beach. Kurt steps onto the wooden platform where he was doing his deadlift demonstration. Bruce follows, moving with that characteristic fluidity that makes walking look like a controlled dance. Someone in the crowd, one of the regular trainers at Muscle Beach, steps forward. Hang on. If we're doing this, we need some kind of structure. What are the rules?" Bruce looks at Kurt. "Your choice. What do you want to prove? That your mass gives you an advantage? Then come at me however you want. Grab me, strike me, use your strength any way you see fit. No rules. Just 6 seconds of honest demonstration." Kurt rolls his massive shoulders. His confidence is returning. This is familiar territory, using his size to dominate. He's done it hundreds of times in wrestling matches, in street confrontations, in every physical challenge he's ever faced. "No rules," Kurt confirms. 6 seconds. I'm going to pick you up and slam you. Nothing personal, just proving the point about mass. Nothing personal, Bruce agrees. The crowd goes quiet. Someone starts counting down. 3, 2, 1, go! Kurt moves with surprising speed for a man his size. He lunges forward, arms outstretched, trying to grab Bruce around the torso. It's the obvious strategy. Use his 180-pound weight advantage to simply overpower the smaller man. Once he gets his arms around Bruce, it's over. He can lift him, throw him, slam him. Mass wins. His hands close on empty air. Bruce has shifted maybe 6 inches to his right. Not a dramatic evasion, not a jump or a roll. Just a minimal angle change that makes Kurt's grab miss completely. Kurt adjusts immediately, pivoting, reaching again. This time he's faster, more aggressive. His massive hands are like bear traps. If they close on Bruce, the size difference will end the confrontation instantly. Again, Bruce isn't there. He's moved inside Kurt's reach, so close to the bigger man's body that Kurt's arms can't effectively grab him. 2 seconds have passed. Kurt tries a different approach. He throws a punch, not a technical boxing punch, just a massive overhand right powered by 315 pounds of bulk. If it connects, Bruce is going to sleep. No question. Bruce's hand comes up, not to block, to intercept. His fingers touch Kurt's wrist, and something happens that nobody can quite process. The massive punch, traveling with hundreds of pounds of force, just stops, deflects. The energy dissipates completely. Kurt's face shows confusion. How did a 135-pound man stop his punch with just fingers? 3 seconds. And this is when Bruce strikes. It's not a combination. It's not multiple techniques. It's a single strike, delivered with that same devastating precision he used on Chuck Norris, on Ron Chapsky, on every person who ever needed to learn that mass and power are not the same thing. Bruce's fist travels from his side to Kurt's solar plexus in what looks like 0 time. One moment his hand is down, the next moment it's buried in the center of Kurt's massive torso. The sound is sharp, a wet thud that carries across the beach. People wince just hearing it. Kurt Wagner, 315 pounds of muscle and strength, stops moving completely. His eyes go wide. His mouth opens. He tries to breathe and can't. His arms, which a moment ago were reaching for Bruce with killing force, drop to his sides like someone cut the strings controlling them. He takes 1 step backward, then another. Then his knees buckle, and this mountain of a man drops onto the wooden platform. Not falling, not collapsing, just sinking down like his legs have forgotten how to support weight. 4 seconds. The crowd is absolutely silent. 50 people frozen in collective shock. They all saw it happen. They all know what they witnessed. But their brains are struggling to reconcile the physics of what their eyes just showed them. Bruce stands exactly where he was, breathing normally, hand back at his side. He looks down at Kurt with no triumph, no arrogance, just patience, waiting for the lesson to sink in. Kurt is on his knees, both hands pressed against his solar plexus, trying desperately to pull air into his paralyzed diaphragm. His face is contorted, not in pain exactly, but in absolute bewilderment. This isn't supposed to be possible. His mass, his muscle, his strength, all of it should have protected him. He's taken full-power punches from heavyweight boxers during sparring sessions. He's absorbed impacts that would hospitalize normal people. But this was different. This went through his mass like his muscles weren't even there. 5 seconds. Bruce crouches down so he's at eye level with Kurt. He speaks quietly, meant only for Kurt's ears, though several people close to the platform can hear. Your mass is impressive. Your strength is real. But strength without understanding is just force. And force without precision is just noise. Kurt finally manages to pull in a ragged breath. Then another. His nervous system is slowly coming back online, reconnecting brain to body. 6 seconds. Someone in the crowd breaks the silence. What the hell just happened? Before we continue with what happened next, I need to know, are you feeling this the way the crowd at Venice Beach felt it? That moment when everything you thought you understood about strength gets challenged? Drop a comment? Tell us what city you're watching from, and whether this is the Bruce Lee story you expected. Because what happens after this moment? This is where the real lesson begins. Bruce stands up slowly. He extends his hand to Kurt, not in victory, but in respect. Kurt stares at the offered hand for a long moment, still struggling to catch his breath, still trying to process what his body just experienced. Then he takes it. Bruce helps pull the 315-pound strongman to his feet. Kurt stands unsteadily, still keeping one hand pressed against his chest where Bruce struck him. The crowd hasn't moved. They're waiting for something. Anger, a rematch, violence. In strength culture, being defeated publicly is grounds for retaliation. Ego demands it. But Kurt surprises everyone, including himself. He looks at Bruce with genuine confusion and says, "How?" "Walk with me," Bruce says. "Away from the crowd. I'll explain." They step off the platform. The crowd parts like water. Bruce leads Kurt away from Muscle Beach, down the beach path toward a quieter section of sand. Linda has taken the children to get ice cream, giving Bruce space to do what he does best: teach. They walk in silence for maybe 30 seconds. Kurt is moving carefully, testing his body, still feeling the effects of that single strike. Finally, Bruce stops, and they sit on the low wall separating the beach from the path. "You said real men have mass," Bruce begins. "And you're not wrong. Mass is powerful. Size matters. Everything you've built, all that strength you've developed, it's legitimate. Don't think I'm dismissing it." Kurt nods slowly. His defenses are completely down now. Whatever happened in those 6 seconds has shattered his ego enough that he's ready to listen. "But you've made mass your only tool," Bruce continues. "And when you make anything your only tool, you become predictable. Predictable means vulnerable." "I've won every strength competition I've entered," Kurt says, not defensively, just stating a fact. "I've beaten men as big as me, bigger than me. How is that predictable? Because they were all playing the same game you were playing. Mass against mass, strength against strength. It's like 2 trucks colliding. The bigger truck wins. But what happens when you face someone who isn't playing that game? Someone who isn't trying to match your strength but to circumvent it?" Kurt touches his chest again. "That strike. I've been hit before. I've sparred with boxers. That was different." "Yes," Bruce confirms, "because I didn't hit your muscles. I hit through them. Your solar plexus, the network of nerves that controls breathing, that connects to every vital organ. You've built layers of muscle around it, which helps protect against blunt force trauma. But if you understand anatomy, if you know exactly where to strike and how to deliver force that penetrates rather than impacts, muscle becomes irrelevant." Bruce stands up and demonstrates on himself, touching his own solar plexus. This point, right here, it's approximately 3 inches deep. Most people punch at the surface. The impact spreads across the muscle tissue, gets absorbed. But if you generate force from your entire body structure, If you understand kinetic linking, ground to legs to hips to core to shoulder to fist, you can create penetrating power from minimal distance. The force doesn't spread. It drives straight to the target. Your nervous system experienced direct disruption. That's why you couldn't breathe. Not because I hit hard, but because I hit precisely. Kurt is listening with complete attention now. This is information he's never encountered in powerlifting manuals or strongman training. So what you're saying is, technique beats strength. No, Bruce says firmly. I'm saying that technique, properly applied, can overcome strength, but only if the technique is truly efficient. Most martial arts techniques are too complex, too telegraphed. They require setup time that gives your opponent, especially someone as strong as you, the opportunity to use their advantages. What I used on you was the simplest possible expression of power. Straight line, no wasted motion, no telegraph, just force appearing at the target before your body could react. Could you teach me that? Kurt asks, and there's no shame in the question, just genuine desire to learn. I can teach you the principles, Bruce responds. But first you need to unlearn something. You need to stop thinking that your mass is your primary weapon. Think of it as one tool among many. In certain situations, your size is an overwhelming advantage. Against multiple attackers in a grappling situation, in any scenario where pure strength can be applied, your 315 pounds is a tremendous asset. But against a single skilled opponent who understands angles, timing, and precision striking, your mass becomes a liability. It's weight you have to carry, momentum you have to manage. It makes you slower to change direction, slower to adjust to unexpected attacks. Kurt processes this. Years of training, years of building his body into this mass of muscle, and now someone's telling him it might sometimes work against him. But he can't argue. Not after what just happened. Not after being dropped in 6 seconds by a man half his size. Do you train people? Kurt asks. I have a school in Los Angeles. I teach principles, not style. No classical forms, no traditional techniques, just what works, efficiency, directness, what I call Jeet Kune do, the way of the intercepting fist. Can I come? Bruce studies him for a moment. He's evaluating not just Kurt's physical capabilities, but his character. Can this man's ego handle being the weakest person in a room full of smaller martial artists? Can he unlearn what he's spent years perfecting? Yes, Bruce decides. But you need to understand something. Training with me means accepting that everything you think you know about fighting is incomplete. Not wrong, incomplete. Can you do that? After today? Kurt manages a weak laugh. Yeah, I can do that. They shake hands again. This time it's different. Not the grip of confrontation, but the grip between teacher and student. Word of what happened at Muscle Beach spreads through the strength community like wildfire. Within days, everyone in California bodybuilding and powerlifting circles has heard some version of the story. A 135-pound martial artist dropped a 315-pound strongman in 6 seconds with a single strike. The reactions split along predictable lines. Some people dismiss it entirely, probably exaggerated, probably didn't happen the way people claim, probably some kind of lucky shot. Others are fascinated and want to learn more about this Bruce Lee guy and his approach to combat. But the people who were actually there, the 50 witnesses who saw it happen, they don't debate. They know exactly what they saw. They watched physics and human understanding triumph over raw power. Kurt Wagner becomes one of Bruce Lee's students. He shows up at Bruce's school the following week, and the other students, most of them 150 pounds or less, are shocked to see this massive man walk through the door. But Bruce introduces him simply as Kurt, a new student, and makes it clear that size doesn't determine rank or respect in this school. Kurt struggles at first. His body has been trained to move in specific ways, to generate power through specific patterns. Unlearning those patterns is harder than learning them was. He's used to his mass being an advantage. Now he's trying to move like water, to flow, to be efficient rather than powerful. But he persists. And gradually, over months of training, something remarkable happens. Kurt doesn't lose his strength. He still maintains his powerlifting practice, still competes in strongman events. But he adds something to it. Precision, timing, understanding. He learns to read opponents, to see attacks before they fully develop, to strike with accuracy rather than just force. A year after that day at Venice Beach, Kurt returns to competition. And something interesting happens. He doesn't just win through raw power anymore. He wins through intelligent application of strength. He anticipates his opponent's moves. He positions himself more efficiently. He wastes less energy. Other competitors notice. They start asking Kurt what changed. Some of them assume he found a new training program, new supplements, new technique. When he tells them he's been studying with Bruce Lee, many of them laugh. A martial artist teaching a strongman? That's backwards. But the ones who are serious, who genuinely want to improve, they ask for details. And gradually, Bruce's influence spreads through the strength community in ways that have nothing to do with movies or fame. Just results. Just undeniable improvement in people willing to learn. That's the truth they never taught you at Muscle Beach. That's the lesson that changed strength culture forever, even though most people never knew where it came from. If this story revealed something you needed to understand, subscribe so you never miss these untold histories. And comment below. What city are you watching from, and did this change how you think about strength? Let's build this community together, story by story, realization by realization. Years later, after Bruce Lee's death, Kurt Wagner is interviewed for a documentary about martial arts in America. He's asked about the famous encounter at Venice Beach. He's asked if the story has been exaggerated over time. Kurt thinks carefully before responding. Then he says, "I can only tell you what I experienced. I was 315 pounds of muscle. I could lift more weight than anyone I knew. I thought mass equaled power, and power equaled dominance. Then Bruce Lee touched me, and I mean touched because it wasn't even a full punch, and my entire body just stopped working. Everything I thought I understood about strength became irrelevant in 6 seconds." The interviewer asks, "Do you think size matters in a real fight?" Kurt's answer is immediate. Size matters, strength matters, but understanding matters more. And if you're facing someone who truly understands combat at a fundamental level, someone who's studied anatomy and physics and human movement the way Bruce did, then your size can actually work against you. Because you're carrying weight that slows you down, managing momentum that makes you predictable, and protecting with muscle that can be penetrated if you know exactly where and how to strike. "Do you still train?" the interviewer asks. "Every day," Kurt responds. "But I train differently now. I still lift. I still compete in strength events. But I also train in Jeet Kune Do. I study efficiency. I learn to read opponents. Bruce gave me a gift that day at Venice Beach. He gave me humility. And humility is the only foundation strong enough to build real mastery on." The encounter at Venice Beach becomes one of those stories that circulates through martial arts schools, through strength communities, through Hollywood. Different versions emerge, as they always do. Some people claim Bruce knocked Kurt unconscious. Others say nothing significant happened at all. But the people who were there, the 50 witnesses who saw 6 seconds that changed everything, they know the truth. They saw mass meet precision. They watched power encounter understanding. They witnessed the moment when strength culture learned that real men don't just have mass, real men have wisdom. And sometimes wisdom comes in a 135-pound package that can teach 315-pound strongmen lessons they'll carry for the rest of their lives. Bruce Lee never bragged about what happened that day. When people asked him about it, he would usually say something like, "I demonstrated a principle, that's all. The demonstration was successful. The student learned. That's the only measure that matters." But in private, with close students, he would sometimes reference that day as an example of why he'd moved beyond classical martial arts. Classical systems, he would explain, were designed for different eras, different contexts. They had beauty, they had tradition, they had cultural significance, but they often lacked efficiency. At Venice Beach, he would tell his students, I didn't use Wing Chun, I didn't use karate or kung fu or any specific style. I simply saw an opening and filled it with force. No art, no technique, just direct expression of power to a vulnerable target. That's Jeet Kune Do. Not a system of techniques, but a philosophy of directness. The lesson spread far beyond Kurt Wagner. Other strongmen, other bodybuilders, other athletes who heard the story began questioning their assumptions. What else might they be wrong about? What other blind spots did their training create? Some sought out Bruce Lee directly. Others explored different martial arts on their own. But the seed was planted. The idea that mass and strength, while valuable, weren't the complete picture. That's Bruce Lee's real legacy. Not the movies, not the fame, not even the incredible demonstrations of speed and power. The legacy is the shift in thinking, the understanding that mastery requires humility, that strength requires wisdom, and that the most powerful weapon isn't your body, it's your mind. On a Saturday afternoon in July 1971, at a beach in California, that legacy was written in 6 seconds. 6 seconds that taught 315 pounds of muscle that real men don't just have mass. They have understanding.